And let's start with our top story of today, which is a very sad one. Several dozen people have died and around 100 people have been injured after a fire broke out at a luxury ski resort bar in Crans-Montana, Switzerland. The fire reportedly broke out at around 1:30 a.m. local time during the venue's New Year's celebrations. Here's the head of the local police, Frederick Giesler, giving an update to reporters earlier this morning, and his words have been translated.
We have identified 100 or so injured people, significantly in many cases, and sadly several dozen people are presumed to have died. Currently, the central street in Caen is closed for the needs of this investigation, and the Canton du Valais is now undertaking an investigation.
The cause has not yet been confirmed, but the public prosecutor, Béatrice Pilou, said a full investigation has begun. Again, we're using a translator here.
There are major investigations in order to identify the circumstances of the tragedy, and I can say at the moment that we're talking about a fire and there is no question of any form of attack. Out of respect for the families, I'm not able to tell you anything further at the moment until personal information has been communicated to every family member of the people who have been affected by this tragedy.
Joining me now to talk about this story is the Times reporter David Chazan. David, thank you for joining me. What can you tell us about the latest?
Well, from statements by witnesses, in particular, two 16-year-old French girls who were present, or say they were present when the fire broke out, they believe that it started in the basement of the premises, which they said operates as a nightclub. They said it had about 200 people in there, teenagers, others up to the age of about 30. And they said that some people had put sparklers or Roman candles in bottles, champagne bottles, that they'd placed on a table that was close to the ceiling. And they say that the ceiling caught fire all of a sudden, and then the flames just engulfed not only the entire ceiling, but apparently the entire building. Now, the two girls managed to get out. They say there was everyone panicked and the crowd just surged towards the door, and they were pushed by people behind them up the stairs. There was a narrow stairway leading to the exit. One of them fell along the way and slightly injured her knee, but they did manage to get out almost unscathed. But they described scenes of utter horror. They said they saw one young man writhing in agony on the floor. His body was badly burned, his hair had been burned, as well as his face. And they said they assumed that he must have died. So while the cause of this fire has yet to be confirmed, what seems to be emerging from what witnesses have been telling us is that it was an accident, and investigators say it's too early to say whether the owners, the French owners of this nightclub, had breached fire safety regulations, but it is something that they will be looking at, both in terms of the number of people who were crammed into the basement area, and also whether the ceilings and the furnishings were properly fireproof or fire retardant.
Yeah, I mean, there seem to have been a huge amount of people in attendance there. Have the number of casualties been confirmed?
No, we don't have exact numbers either for the dead or the injured. You know, the Swiss are being very tight-lipped about it. It's not just a question of waiting until the next of kin have been notified before they release names. The Swiss authorities have been telling journalists that they're not prepared to release names while the families are still grieving. So it's basically a wall of silence. But that, as we heard from those clips from the police chief and the prosecutor in the intro, we do know that dozens of people are presumed dead. Swiss media have placed the figure at about 40 or 50, but there's been no official confirmation. Another 100 or so people have been injured, most of them very seriously with third-degree burns.
I've been to Cran, Montana. It's an absolutely amazing place. Great ski resort in the winter and a lot of golf in the summer. It's very popular with British tourists. Is there any information on the number of Brits caught up in this?
No, there's no information about that at all. We know that this bar and nightclub was a popular venue with British tourists, so it's quite possible that British people were caught up in this. But the British Embassy says that it has no information on this for the time being, so we're still in the dark about that.
And emergency departments in the local area reportedly overwhelmed by the number of burn victims needed to be treated. And we know some are being sent across the country, is that correct?
Well, I think most of them, because treating burn wounds is a delicate, difficult business. So the immediate local hospitals haven't really got the capacity for that. So the authorities called in 10 helicopters. Remember, you're up in the mountains here, so it's difficult to drive. It takes a long time to drive down. So the helicopters were ferrying people to hospitals in Geneva, Lausanne, and other Swiss cities. So almost the entire country has been mobilized to deal with this. And hospitals say that they're absolutely overwhelmed. Casualty wards, emergency departments are full. And the Swiss health minister has appealed to people not to take any risks today, try to avoid ski accidents, because the hospitals just haven't got any more capacity to deal with any more emergencies.
It seems quite an obvious question. I mean, Switzerland's such a small country, and this is a massive, massive tragedy for it. I mean, how's this being, approached in Switzerland?
Well, it's obvious people are in a state of shock. Local people are horrified. I mean, Crans, Montana is a place that has a population of only about 10,000. That doubles during the skiing season. So, everybody is absolutely shocked and horrified by this. It's not the sort of thing that the Swiss like to see happening in their country. They're very proud of the fact that they're a place where not much news happens, and they believe that they're much better regulated than many other European countries. So the idea that this kind of tragedy could happen in Switzerland is something that's going down very, very badly indeed.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, terrible news. David Chazan, thank you, Times reporter there. Thank you very much for joining us to fill us in on the latest news about this fire in a Swiss resort, Cran, Montana.